What's going on, guys? Today we're going to be working on my 2020 Triumph Street Triple RS. We'll be changing the rear brake pads on this bike because, as you can see, they're really worn out, and I probably should have changed them much sooner. But hey, it is what it is. So I have a set of new brake pads. I have two for the front and one for the rear. We'll be changing the front brake pads as well, but I'll save that for another video pertaining to Brembo monoblock calipers. So for this particular video, we'll be focusing on just replacing the rear brake pads. It's a really straightforward and easy job, which you can DIY in just in a few hours, really. So when replacing the rear brake pads, you actually don't need to remove the caliper. Just push it in like this. That way, you push the piston inward, allowing you to have space to access the pads, like so. It takes a bit of force, but you can actually get it done just by hand with no tools required. Up next, you're gonna wanna address this sliding caliper thing. So remove the cotter pin with a pair of pliers. Once you've got that out, you're gonna wanna find a way to punch that pin out of the housing so you can just pull the pads out. I like to start off by cleaning it up with some contact cleaner because it doesn't really contaminate your brakes. So once you've got that cleaned up, you're gonna need a sacrificial screwdriver, which you won't mind ruining because you're gonna need to hammer it or just punch out that pin that holds the brake pads in place. After that, you can just pull that pin out with your fingers and the pads should just slide right off. Now that your pads are off the caliper, you're gonna wanna give your caliper a really good clean. So I like to use water and a lot of soap. Mild degreaser does the job, so does brake cleaner. Spray it on generously and apply a lot of soap, a lot of water, and use an old toothbrush to get into those nooks and crannies really well. Don't forget to give that pin and the cotter pin a once-over-2, making sure they're both free of any grime and dirt. That way you allow the smooth movement of the brake pads as the piston is actuated. Now that everything is nice and clean, you're gonna wanna wipe it thoroughly. It doesn't have to be completely dry because your brakes are obviously waterproof. So yeah, just opening up the new brake pads, you can see how much material these things are supposed to have. And right now it's just a matter of sliding them into the caliper. When installing the new brake pads, make sure everything lines up nicely so that you can fit that pin that holds the pads onto the caliper without any resistance. You're gonna need to hammer it back in place, but this time from the other side. Next, all you have to do is to reinstall that cotter pin. Usually, this can very easily be done by hand without any tools. Now give your brake pedal a few pumps to let that brake piston out. So there you have it. Job done. Very easy brake pad replacement for the Triumph Street Triple RS. The process for other bikes with a sliding rear disc brake should be fairly similar to this, so chances are it's the same for many other bikes out there.